Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, the thing I value most in books. So I think a lot about what makes, for me personally, a good book, the things that I value most in books. Why is one book that I read fantastic to me and another one which superficially seems similar really unsatisfying? And I've come to a bit of a conclusion this week and I wanted to share that with you. And one of the things that helped me come to that conclusion was a quote from the filmmaker John Waters. So John Waters, if you don't know, is a movie maker. He's had a very long career, started in the 70s. His first film is a notorious film called Pink Flamingos, which is incredibly and very deliberately offensive. And Waters made a number of kind of quite shocking, offensive movies. His probably best known film, his most mainstream film as well, is Hairspray, which was a very, very successful film. But he's continued to make films since Hairspray, and he's never let the success of Hairspray kind of change the way he does things. He's a really, really interesting director and also a writer. So he's written a couple of non-fiction books and also a novel, which is very, very entertaining. So let me read you this quote from him. So Waters said, "Irony ruined everything. Even the best exploitation movies were never meant to be so bad they were good. They were not made for the intelligentsia. They were made to be violent for real or to be sexy for real. And now everybody has irony. Even horror movies now are ironic. Everybody's in on the joke now. Everybody's hip. Nobody takes anything at face value anymore." And reading that quote and thinking about it in terms of my own tastes made me realise that the thing I value most in books is honesty. I like books that are written for honest, where the intentions of the author are clear. And those intentions can be a really, wide range of different things. So I've talked a minute ago about the fact that John Waters was uncompromising and has been uncompromising in his movies. He hasn't let society dictate the sort of films he should make. And I was reflecting on the death of David Lynch this week, the filmmaker who I'm also a huge admirer of. I thought his work was absolutely fantastic. I had a Razorhead t-shirt when I was a teenager. Blue Velvet is one of my 5 favourite films of all time. I think he was an absolutely fantastic director. And the thing about Lynch is he was completely uncompromising. He had his own vision, he had his own obsessions, and he just let those flow onto film. He never let anybody stop him from doing what he wanted to do. And the thing that is marvellous about that is that somehow his own obsessions, his own vision found a home. It interlocked with something in the psyche of the public in general that made him a success. Twin Peaks in particular was, really uncompromising, very, very weird, like nothing that had been on TV before. And yet there was something about the way that Lynch, projected that vision that made it a success for people. And I think that's when you get the most interesting art, when somebody is completely uncompromising in what they do, never backs down, and yet becomes successful. And yet there is something in what they are doing that speaks to the public at large. So that is a kind of honesty. That is a kind of honesty in writing and filmmaking. That just refusal to change your artistic vision, which I think is something that Lynch demonstrated and which John Waters has demonstrated as well. But there's another kind of honesty, and this is the one that I probably value more than anything, and that is like the trashy aesthetic, the trashy honesty that is, I'm writing this book to make a quick buck. I'm writing this book because this is what I think the audience at the time wants, or even this is the kind of book my publisher has told me I have to write. And sometimes publishers and authors are dishonest about that. They flower their books up as more than just a cash grab. But sometimes they are not. I'm a huge fan of the Executioner books by Don Pendleton. I think they're really, really fun. They are also completely honest. These books, with these books, you are going to get Mac Bolan, who's a guy with a gun, going around shooting lots of people in the mafia or other criminals or, enemies of the US or what have you. That's what these books deliver. And they are completely unironic in that. They never pretend that they are more than what they are. They never try and, have they don't even really try and have fun with that concept. Yeah, they are just honest action novels, and that is the kind of thing that I really love. Honest, trashy entertainment. I like horror books that are horrific. I like, action books that are packed with action and don't try and be smart. They don't try and weave too much else into that. But that isn't to say that, exploitation films and trashy books can't have a message. They can do, and sometimes that can be really, really powerful. But the reason it can be powerful is because it's not the reason for the book. Yeah, the reason for the book or the movie is to give people a good time. And sometimes the creator will inject a message into that as well. And that gives it all the more power because you kind of absorb it without even realising it, rather than being slapped around the face by it, like you often are with more literary works. So there you go. Honesty is the thing I value most in books. I want books that are a good time, and that's all they set out to be. Anyway, do let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.